Hey, 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 you're waking up with Craig.
Good morning to everybody out there. This is Friday, November 23rd, the day after Thanksgiving. I'm sure everybody is waking up later today. I know that I had a great holiday. I hope everybody else had a great holiday with their families and their friends. Let's get right to it, shall we? We'll start with the morning quote. Do you know what my favorite part of the game is? The opportunity to play. Mike Singletary. The Lions yesterday had the opportunity to play and they blew it. They had a chance to make a statement that they're still a decent football team. I mean, they got wins this year against the Panthers and the Patriots. They got good wins. The Packers, they seem to not have their mind right. They seem not to be in the right place where they want to win games. And honestly, at this point, if I'm them, I'm just going for a draft pick. But let's start with the Lions. I think it's full rebuild mode for them. I think Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback, but I think this team needs something young. I think this team needs something new, and I think this team needs to just start over. I think you send Matthew Stafford to the Jaguars. I think you send him to another team that needs a quarterback, that is a quarterback away from being a good football team. And I think the Lions aren't a quarterback away right now. I think they're a lot more than that. I'd send them away, get a couple good draft picks, and then just start rebuilding. Honestly, at this point, you got rid of Golden Tate. I think you're in total rebuild mode. You don't have a running game. Kerryon Johnson hasn't proven that he's a running back one in this league. You don't have a stud receiver. I mean, you got Marvin Jones Jr. and Kenny Galladay, which are both good number twos and could be a number one, but you just don't have all the pieces yet. I think with the Bears on the rise, the Packers and the Vikings still being good football teams, the Lions just need to start from scratch, and it's going to take a few years, but that's what they need to do. Now, we talked about the NFC North for a second. Switch it to the NFC East, and there's no doubt in my mind the Cowboys are the best team in the NFC East. They showed it to me yesterday. They handled the Redskins all game, and even though it was only an 11-point win, they proved to me that they are a good football team. I loved seeing Zeke run all over the place. Amari Cooper played out of his mind, and Dak on that scramble inside the 10 at like the 7, he ran about 30, 40 total yards and got in the end zone. Those types of plays are what winners do, and I'm not very high on Dak, and I'm still not very high, but he's starting to show me that he can play in this league and he can compete, and I think the Cowboys owe a thank you to Amari Cooper. Not only did Amari Cooper open up the passing game, he kind of lit a fire under Zeke and Dak, because people were saying, oh, Dak needs help, Dak's not good enough. Dak's starting to play better. Zeke wasn't doing what he used to do, and he's like, you know what? No. The Cowboys, we're still a running football team. And I think that Amari Cooper has just resurged that offense, and they needed that. An offense that doesn't need a resurge is the New Orleans Saints. My, oh my, what can't the Saints do? Drew Brees is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and I know Tom Brady is the greatest ever. I know Mahomes and Goff are looking up, but there's nobody playing better than Drew Brees right now. You can look at the numbers. There is nobody better than Drew Brees right now at the quarterback position in the National Football League. He's got Kamara and Ingram, two great running backs. He's got Thomas, this guy Smith, a guy Lewis yesterday caught a touchdown, and Taysom Hill. I mean, he returns punts, kicks, goes on punt block, kickoff. He catches passes. He runs the quarterback position. He plays running back. He does it all. And Sean Payton is a guru when it comes to calling the offense, and just he runs the team so well. But we're going to stick with rivalry week for a second, because we have some big rivalries coming up this week, not only in the NFL, but yes, in college as well. This week has huge implications on who makes the college football playoff. And usually it comes down to conference championship week, but this week might be bigger than that for once. I'm looking at those games today, two of them today, one tomorrow. The first one I'm looking at, Washington at Washington State. And Washington isn't great. They're in the top 25, in the top 20 actually. But I think Washington State just needs a statement win. And I think today, if they can go out and win by 2 touchdowns or more, they have a real good shot if someone in the top 4 falls. And I think that someone in the top 4 is going to fall, and I'm going to tell you why later. Oklahoma at West Virginia is another game today that's just going to be a great one. I think West Virginia outlasts Oklahoma because it's at West Virginia, and I think that West Virginia's offense is enough to keep up with Oklahoma, and West Virginia's defense is going to hold Oklahoma low enough, and Oklahoma's defense just can't hold West Virginia or really anybody this year. But I think the game of the weekend, for college at least, is on Saturday, and it's Michigan at Ohio State, and I think Michigan falls this week. I think the last few weeks they've played games like Nebraska and Indiana, and I don't think they've looked good. They've played Rutgers, and even though they won by 21 or so, they just haven't looked good. I think Ohio State gets a win here, and I think that pushes Washington State into the playoff mix. I think Washington State ends up in the playoffs. Now, Michigan could easily win this game, but I'm going to go with how college football usually goes, and it usually goes to the home team. So I think Ohio State finds a way to win at home this week. But if we're going to talk about good teams, we got to go to the NFL games this week. And I'm looking at two big games this week. I'm looking at the Seahawks at the Panthers. The Panthers went for 2 last week. They made a mistake. They should have just tied it up and beat the Lions in overtime because I think they would have. The Seahawks have talent. Tyler Lockett, Doug Baldwin, Rashad Penny at running back. I think they're playing better, and Russell Wilson is just a good quarterback that finds a way to win games even when not a great team, and he's just constantly saving Pete Carroll's job at this point. I think the Panthers win this game at home, and the Seahawks get 6 losses, and I think they find a way to lose another game eventually. So I think the Seahawks are in must-win mode because I don't think the Seahawks are going to win out and finish with 5 losses. I see them losing another game along the way at some point. So if they lose this one, to me, that's 7 losses, and 7 losses probably isn't going to get you in the playoffs. And to me, the Panthers are going to make the playoffs at this point just because where their record stands. But if they start losing some games, I mean, they still got Falcons. They still have the Saints, and I think those are losable games. This is a must-win to me for the Panthers, too. I think whatever team loses this game, not necessarily out of the playoffs, but boy, do their chances fall deeply. I mean, the Panthers are the 5 seed right now, but they're only like a game up on the Vikings and a game and a half on the Seahawks. That can change very quickly. The game everybody wants to see is Sunday night Packers at Vikings. Bo Norcross, he will be joining me sometime next week to talk about this game. But I know that the Vikings need this one, and I know that the Packers need this one. I think this is a must-win for both teams. I even said it earlier this week. The winner of this game is in. The loser, I believe, is out. For the most part. If the Vikings lose, they're tied with the Packers. The thing that's hard is the Vikings still have to play the Bears again. They still have to play the Patriots. So you're going to lose probably one or both of those games. Now you're falling to 6, 7 losses. 9-6-1, 9 wins probably isn't going to get you in. This is a must-win. If you're the Packers and you lose this game, this is a must-win for the Packers. There is no doubt about that. You fall to 4-6-1. Now you don't have the head-to-head against the Vikings. The Seahawks are 5-5, depending what happens with the Panthers game. You don't have the head-to-head with them. You fall to the Bears later on. Now you don't have the head-to-head with them. You're split with them. I'm starting to get worried for you. You play Atlanta coming up. You lose to them. You don't have the head-to-head with them. The Packers don't have the head-to-head against the teams that they need to have the head-to-head against. And to me, the Packers lose this game because of one statistic. The Packers are 0-5 on the road this season. They are yet to win a road game. And I think the Vikings got punched in the jaws last week. I think Cousins got woken up. I think the defense has been called out all week that they need to step up. I think the Vikings come out strong, and that crowd is going to be so energetic on Sunday night. I don't think the Packers are good enough to win this game. I think their offenses looked better, but I think the Vikings defense is good enough to compete with the Packers offense. I don't know if the Packers defense is good enough to keep up with the Vikings offense. I will say, however, if Kirk Cousins plays like he did last Sunday night, the Vikings are going to lose out. I love my Minnesota Vikings, but they need to clean it up. The other night, Kirk Cousins could not complete a pass. He wouldn't have been able to throw the ball into the ocean if he was standing on a goddamn boat. I am so disappointed in Kirk Cousins this year. The $84 million I paid him, he has not lived up to $2 million of that. I am disappointed, and he needs to clean it up. The run game. Dalvin Cook, I'm ready to ship you back to Florida State at this point. I'm done with it. I'm fed up. You need to clean it up. Diggs and Thielen are legit. Our defense needs to play better. I think we clean it up this week, and I think we beat the Packers. But if we don't, the Packers are going to win this game, and I think if the Packers win this game, they can get hot and make the playoffs. But let's talk about two people that have been hot for most of their career, but are starting to cool down. Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson today. I think Tiger wins. I think he wins by 3 strokes. That's my final. I've gone back and forth between 4, 2, 1, whatever. Tiger wins by 3 strokes. Tiger birdies 6 holes. That's my prediction. 6 or more. I think Tiger has a great performance. I think Phil catches up late because Tiger plays a little bit safe. But I'm so excited to see the trash talk, to see the antics, the side betting, the prop bets. I'm so excited to see all of it. I think that Tiger plays out of his mind. I think Phil catches up. Tiger plays it safe at the end, but both of them just come out of the gate firing, driving it all over the place, taking different shots, staring each other down, laughing at each other, and having a great time. I think Tiger is on the comeback. I think Phil is just going to be pretty average for the rest of his career. I believe Tiger Woods wins the Masters this year. I think he's back. I think he's ready to send a statement. I know Tyner is a huge Ricky Fowler fan, and I'm gonna admit it. Ricky Fowler has the talent and is probably a top 10 golfer right now. He just hasn't been able to finish. I think he finishes sometime soon. I'm not saying it's this year, but in the next 3 years, he will finish a tournament. But Tiger Woods finishes the Masters this year. Tiger Woods wins the Masters this year. It's a done deal. He is going to make a statement win that he is the greatest golfer of all time. But if we're going to talk about statements, my closing argument for the day is the Giants continue to run the table against the Eagles. I can't believe I'm saying it. I don't know if the Giants are going to win out. I think it's a little ridiculous. But I'm gonna take this week by week, and this week I see the Giants continuing to run the table. Yes, I said it. Saquon is a top 5 running back in the NFL. Odell is a top 5 receiver, and Eli is not great, but he is also not a game manager. He will sling it around, and the Eagles are not the Eagles I saw last year. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they lost their magic. I don't know if they've missed time with Carson Wentz and they don't play right with him. But they're not being bold like they were last year. They're not going forward on 4th downs. They're not having this underdog or this hype on them. They're a normal football team. I mean, I'd compare them to like the Ravens right now. They're middle of the pack. They need to clean it up. I'm not impressed right now. So this week, I think the Giants continue to run the table. And in all honesty, I can't believe I'm going to say it, the Giants have a chance to run the table. It's like a 5 to 10% chance, but against a team like the Bears, they score enough that they can keep up with the Bears, especially if Chase Daniel is still playing quarterback by that time. They have games against the Redskins. Colt McCoy did okay today, but the Redskins are nothing special. They have other games coming up against Dallas again. And if that's a Week 17 matchup and playoffs is on the line, I think the Giants could win that game. I think the Giants have a tough enough schedule where they don't run the table. I mean, they've only got 4 wins or whatever it is by now. But I think in reality, the Giants have a chance. Before we go, I do have to touch upon something. And it saddens me to actually talk about this thing that happened. Adrian Peterson has said recently that he still uses a belt on his son and still spanks his kids. I no secret, have a Adrian Peterson jersey signed. It is one of the greatest memories of mine ever. And I love the man. He was a great running back for the time he was in Minnesota. But what he has done is wrong. And he is a great football player. He will be in the Hall of Fame someday. He is going to be top 10 greatest running back of all time. However, he will not be top 10 greatest people of all time. And this show talks a lot about sports and what happens within the sport, but I think it is time we talk about a little bit about what happens outside of the sport. And I loved Adrian Peterson. He was someone I looked up to, someone I rooted for. I shook his hand. I couldn't stop smiling for the day when I met him. But Adrian Peterson off the field is not someone you should be. On the field, I've never seen anyone work harder. I've never seen someone more driven to win. But off the field, he's just not someone you should be. And in sports, what you do on the field and what you do off the field have equal value. I don't care if you're putting up great numbers. I don't care if you're winning Super Bowls if you're not a good person. And as much as I've looked up to Adrian Peterson over the years, I don't know if I'm going to be able to root for him anymore because it saddens me that the year that he took off, the year he was suspended for, didn't change him. And there's been a lot of things like Ray Rice that has happened and other incidents. And the best sports people, the best athletes that I remember, the ones I think of, are the ones that do the best things. Drew Brees is one of the most stand-up guys I have ever met. Tom Brady has been a good person over the years, and those are the guys we should look up to in sports. So if you take away anything from today's episode, when you play sports, what you do off the court, what you do off the field is just as important as what you do on the field or on the court. And I know this message is different than what we usually say on this show. I know this show is usually just about sports and usually just about winning and losing. But sports is just a part of life, and it is important to remember that what we do in our life and to the people around us is just as important. Tomorrow we will be back with Monday we'll be back with all sports. But to me, this message was important to say today, that it is about being a good person, a good man, and a good woman. And that is what makes us great athletes. Thank you for listening today. I know today was a little bit sadder of an episode at the end. But happy Friday. The week is over. Enjoy your break if you had it. I'm sure everyone had a great night Black Friday shopping. Enjoy time with your family if they're still here. And we will be back on Monday. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Waking Up with Craig. And remember, keep on balling.